De tentoonstelling Locus, Apichatpong Weerasethakul en Cao Guimarães is een tentoonstelling die we gemaakt hebben omdat we heel erg geïnteresseerd zijn in het grensgebied tussen film en beeldende kunst in ons tentoonstellingsbeleid. En dit zijn twee kunstenaars voor wie er eigenlijk geen grens zit tussen film en beeldende kunst. Beide kunstenaars zijn begonnen met speelfilms en films te maken die bedoeld zijn als installatie in de tentoonstellingsruimte. Je zou kunnen zeggen, dit is een soort slow cinema. Er bestaat natuurlijk veel meer slow cinema. Maar het bijzondere is dat de ingrediënten die zowel Apichatpong Weerasethakul als Cao Guimarães gebruiken, dat zijn allemaal ingrediënten die heel erg dicht bij hun lokale situatie liggen. Apichatpong filmt eigenlijk al zijn werk in het noordoosten van Thailand. Dat is het gebied waar hij is opgegroeid. En heeft een waanzinnig oog voor de kleuren, de geuren, de vormen. Je zou kunnen zeggen, je kan bijna ruiken wat hij filmt. Maar ook met name is hij geïnteresseerd in de specifieke leefomstandigheden, in de specifieke geschiedenissen, herinnering van die plek. Nou, hetzelfde zie je eigenlijk in het werk van Cao Guimarães, die in Brazilië, in Belo Horizonte, is opgegroeid en eigenlijk zijn camera altijd ook inzoomt, vaak op soort, ja, we noemen dat soort micro-gebeurtenissen, waar mensen normaal gesproken overheen kijken. Dus je ziet bijvoorbeeld bij Cao Guimarães heb je een film waarin twee kinderen met elkaar aan het stoeien zijn in de modder. Nou, dat lijkt helemaal niks, maar door de manier waarop Cao Guimarães hier naar kijkt en de manier waarop hij dat in beeld brengt, de manier waarop hij daar geluid onder zet, de manier waarop hij dat edit, de manier waarop hij dat ook ontkleurt, tilt dat hele simpele gegeven eigenlijk uit boven het lokale en maakt het tot iets universeels. En dat is eigenlijk wat deze twee kunstenaars verbindt. Dus vandaar dat we de titel Locus, wat natuurlijk het Latijnse woord voor plaats is, eraan hebben gegeven. Dus je kunt zeggen, in plaats van kunstenaars die erg met de global world bezig zijn, zijn dit kunstenaars die eigenlijk heel erg inzoomen op het lokale, maar op zo'n manier dat ze daarmee uiteindelijk weer iets universeels vertellen.
I'm from the northeast of Thailand. It's called Isan, and I grew up there, and for until my teen years, 20 something. It's a place that is quite harsh in terms of physical, the weather for agriculture, for example, and also harsh politically. Yeah, but in the school when I study is super uniform, like all over the country. There's a sense of propaganda, these materials when you look back to them. Yeah. Later when I start making movie, it's almost like an excuse to have this camera to go back and to travel the region and try to see this so-called local home, the meaning or the memory that somehow I think were cut out from the experience of childhood years. Yeah.
Yes, I'm from Minas Gerais. It's a state in Brazil. It's a huge state, like the size of Spain or France. I was born there and lived there for 50 years. Minas Gerais is a very interesting place, and I love to start things there. Is something about things that are very familiar, and I think you can search for universal things in very particular words. I've been in London, living in London for almost 3 years in the middle of the 90s, and it was a fantastic experience. Of course, I think when anybody has the possibility to have this experience with otherness, with something that's completely different than your background, it's very interesting for you to be lost of yourself, and then you find it again when you come back to the country. It's a very interesting process. I stayed there for 2 or 3 years, and when I came back to Brazil, it was very important for me, the way I look at it again. It's a completely different form that I used to look, and I discovered that the world is not only my aldeia, my villa, no? It's something much more bigger.
Actually, at the same time, in the middle of 90s, I was in Chicago, and I really immersed myself in the experimental film, and almost like to learn a new language of cinema that was not available in Thailand. Yeah, when you look back at Thailand, you start to see that there's a huge treasure of experience that haven't been expressed through film, and so I was really excited to go back home and to have this look and try to find my own way of looking.
And I also found the world through cinema, of course, in the 80s and the 70s. The first time I was going to the cinema, I discovered the world through cinema. So it's something very, very strong for me. Not only the world, but the way people see the world, the different forms of looking to the world.
For me, I started as just documenting, because personally I'm really forgetful person, and cinema is the tool for me to keep what I really want to keep. And slowly, I was really curious about the way one constructs story, narrative. It could be very powerful and also dangerous too. Yeah. When in relation to so-called reality. Yeah. So I start to do that and question that until now. Yeah. And I think starting from this personal record, trying to not to forget, and then to accept that image or memory is really transforming all the time. It's impossible to make it, really concrete, So the memory of personal memory or local memory also always shifting.
Yes, I think Yap, the creator, has a very nice eye to choose had a very nice eye to choose some works that in a way make a dialogue with Apichatpong works, and they are in a way they are very different. When I've seen now the exhibition, I've seen in the first room, for example, we only have the presence of human beings in one work, and the other 4 works are more like what I say, microdrama of the forms.
For me, it's the combination of more recent pieces and the project called Primitive from 2009 that deals with kind of exploration of this space, this village, where they have a trauma in the past. But the teenagers that I collaborated with, they were not the ones that experienced this firsthand. They're second-hand kind of memory that they're holding, and then I'm like a third-hand memory. So I'm interested in this idea of passing along memory, and then the audience have been the other kind, and then pass along further. Yeah. But I'm so happy to be exhibited with Cao's work because I'm always fascinated by South America, Latin American cultures and history and lights, yeah, and rituals, because all these things are very have a kind of link. I feel when I went there with Thailand or with Asia, you know, the people, how people approach life, yeah, and looking through that, I think the show is very interesting in the way that Cao's work is very personal, very just his gaze, his eyes, very subjective in a way. And I think the audience enter to this and juxtaposition with my work with this piece is more like collective memory, so it's like expand to other form, and the audience as they want to piece this together internally, you know.
It's a piece I've made in the Amazon, in an island in the Amazon, where I found just this moment, this sublime moment of two children playing in the rain while I was waiting for my boat to go out. It's a very nice film. I love it, this film, with two children fighting and dancing, and they're kind of looks like a brother and a sister, and she is very angry with him, but at the same time it's very sensual in a way, and so there's this very kind of sublime little moments in life sometimes happen, and sometimes you need to be there with a camera.